Hello and welcome to Quick Takes with Polaris, where we discuss topics and issues regarding various video games. We are not video game critics, we are just regular gamers. So I have here my dear friend Isaac. Hey man, what's up?
What is up, man?
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about the latest craze or game, which is Cyberpunk 2077. So my friend Isaac here owns the game actually, and he's played the game for a couple of weeks now. Is that right?
Yeah, I actually have a total of 90 hours in this game. Wait, let me check.
Oh, so
Yeah,
it's 90
91 hours.
hours. Oh, so
91 hours.
yeah, so it's pretty long. So you have played since the release on Steam, right?
Yeah, of course. And I've actually just finished the game.
Oh, so you finished the main story or like the game as a whole?
Yeah, the main storyline, but not. I didn't 100% it. Like all
Ah,
the
okay, okay,
achievements.
okay, okay. So you've played the game. So you play on PC, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's Cyberpunk 2077 also released on consoles like PS4 and the Xbox and PS5, right? Is that right?
Yeah, and Google Stadia, if
Ah, Google
everybody's using
Stadia.
that.
Okay, okay. But I don't know much about Google Stadia,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
okay. So let's discuss Cyberpunk 2077. A lot of people loved it, a lot of people hated it. So, um, when you first, in your opinion, since I don't have the game or I didn't play the game, in your opinion, was the wait worth it?
Okay, let me think about this.
Okay, okay. Was it
The
worth
wait
it? Like,
worth it.
Cyberpunk 2077. I don't have my research done or any facts research, but I know for a fact that it was announced in 2013, right? 2013.
Yeah, I think the
CD
first
Projekt Red,
teaser. Yeah,
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 the first teaser came out
announced
in 2013.
announced the game like they're developing this kind of futuristic RPG back way back in 2013. So it was released December of 2020 um, with a lot of delays. A lot of delays.
A lot.
So, in your opinion, is the game worth it? Is the game worth the wait? Especially coming from the success of Witcher 3, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
CD
yeah.
Projekt Red
CD
is
Projekt
a
Red
very good what they call this company
company.
or
Okay.
game developer.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the Witcher 3's success. There's very
Mm-hmm.
critically acclaimed game. Me personally, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't wait that long for Cyberpunk. It was actually announced. The first announcement for the game's release was April 16th of the 2020th.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that was the first release date,
Mm-hmm.
and that's actually the first time I've heard of the game. Well, actually, I've heard the game before, but I was not waiting for it. Like I was not actively watching
Ah, the
trailers and
updates
stuff.
and stuff.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
So when it got delayed in April 16th, I think it got delayed to September,
Yeah,
and it
September,
was,
and then
yeah, yeah,
I think November, and
November
then
and then December. So
December.
that's
Finally,
like
December.
there's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, there's like three delays for the game. Me, personally, I think I didn't wait that long. It was just like half a year, like right, like
Mm-hmm.
from April to December. It's not that long, but
Mm-hmm.
for those who were waiting from like 2013, yeah, I don't think that wait is worth it. For people like me, though, I think it's okay. It's not that long,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't expect much. We didn't get hyped. Well,
Okay.
me personally,
Ah, so
I
you
didn't.
didn't watch any of the trailers like
Yeah,
back in
actually, yeah,
last
I
year?
didn't. Yeah, because I didn't want to like spoil myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
In same with movies, actually, I don't quite watch movie trailers because
Mm.
there's a lot of spoilers in those
Mm. Yeah.
trailers. Just my personal opinion. So I didn't watch a lot of Cyberpunk trailers. I did watch the latest one before it came out though,
Mm,
the
mm-hmm.
gameplay trailer. That's why I think I wasn't disappointed as much as the others because I wasn't hyping myself too much. I wasn't like expecting a lot from this
Mm-hmm.
game. I
Mm-hmm.
know it will be good, but it's not for me. It's not gonna be the game of the
The
decade, right?
decade, yeah.
It's just another game from a good company. That's why I think I had a pleasant time when the game came out,
Oh, okay,
and I
okay.
was not that disappointed like the
Mm-hmm.
others.
So, have you played the Witcher 3?
I have played it, but I haven't finished it yet.
Ah,
The Witcher
okay.
3. Yeah, yeah.
So, how many hours can you say that you play Witcher 3? About approximately how many hours?
I think the first 3 hours only.
Ah,
Yeah,
the
I
first
didn't
3 hours.
that
Okay.
much. Yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
didn't play it that
so
much.
um people are going to obviously compare Cyberpunk to Witcher 3 because it was CD Project Red's critically
Flagship.
acclaimed game, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
in your opinion, even though the environment and the feel of the game is different, are the graphics of the two games similar? Are the quality is the quality good, or is one game absolute has an edge or is better than the other one in terms of the quality of the graphics and environments and stuff like that?
Oh well, normally yes, people will compare the two.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, The Witcher 3 came out in 2015, I think. Yeah, it's 2015, May 18 of 2015. And for its time, it's really good, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
an
Yes.
amazing look of
Mm-hmm.
the game. It's a good triple A game.
Yeah.
And if I would compare it to Cyberpunk, I think Cyberpunk naturally is really better.
Oh,
It's
okay.
miles off. Yeah, yeah, it's amazing, man. And having a good machine actually helps very much as a PC owner.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't
Rather
think,
than rather
well,
than
this,
consoles, right?
yeah, yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about it later. I think you have questions about consoles, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
these opinions that I have comes from my PC, and it actually can run the Cyberpunk in high settings without
Mm-hmm.
ray tracing though. High
Mm-hmm.
settings without DLSS, and oh my god, I'm just blown away every time I open the game, man. Especially the
Mm-hmm.
first few hours. It's amazing. It's amazing. There's no game out there right now that looks like Cyberpunk. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's it's cutting edge.
And the PC also has like ray tracing, right?
Yeah, it has ray tracing,
Okay,
and
okay.
I tried I've tried it as well, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think my machine is capable enough
Ah, okay,
because
okay. So basically, Cyberpunk is better looking in terms of like the quality of the graphics than Witcher 3 because yeah, let's of course Cyberpunk is much more is released now, like so it's the latest game, so technically it will have better graphics, right? Okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay, so the next question that I have to address is in terms of CD Projekt Red announcing the development of Cyberpunk 2077. They said that it was gonna be an open world RPG. Okay, so and then later on when the game was released, um, the Twitter account for Cyberpunk 2077 actually changed from an open world RPG to an open world action game. So, in your opinion, did CD Project Red lie about that? Did they like change it just before the release? And is it actually an RPG or a action with a bunch of storylines built into it? Like for example, RPG. We can talk about RPG. Like, okay, I'll give an example of Skyrim. Okay, so you can be absolutely uh anything that you want to be within the game's limitations. So I believe that Cyberpunk 2077 has like three storylines, I believe. Yeah. So is it does it really uh does it really translate into being an RPG, or is it like an action game that you can play with a bunch of different storylines? What's your opinion on that?
Okay, so from my experience, I think they tried to make it an RPG, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they created a game with the foundation of it being an RPG. They tried it to be an RPG. So
Mm-hmm.
the start of the story, you'll have to pick from the three life paths, right? Like the it's basically just where you come from.
Okay.
So there's the street kid, there's the corpo, and there's the nomad.
Mm-hmm.
And these three life paths, it actually doesn't affect your endings. It doesn't affect the endings that you will get. Although it will affect the first, I think it's the first 20 minutes of your game and some dialogues that you can choose in the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, yeah, I think they tried to make it an RPG, but later on, I think they were like um, they didn't have the ability to make it like a fully fledged RPG where each decision will affect
Mm-hmm.
the ending. So they just made it like an action story. And from my experience, it's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Although you said earlier that they did try to advertise it as an
An
RPG.
RPG, yes, exactly.
It has some RPG elements,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not as complex as they told us.
Advertised to
Like
be, yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's not as deep as it can go through. Like they said that some dialogues will definitely affect the ending. Well,
Mm-hmm.
others do, but it's not as influential as it should be,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and from my experience, again, it's not a bad thing for me. It's still a great game, but for from others that was expecting a lot from this game, it's pretty disappointing. I can imagine.
Mhm. So you do believe that some of the choices doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter whether you choose option A or option B. Like the ending will be just the same either way.
The majority of the choices doesn't
Mhm.
affect the story. It's like about good 15% of the dialogues that will affect the story itself.
Mhm.
And for me, it's a good thing because I cannot separate the two. If this dialogue is this gonna affect my ending or not,
Mhm.
and that made me more immersed in the game because I was thinking of all the dialogues as it will affect the ending or not.
Mhm. Okay, so the next issue that I wanted to address is some problems in the game involves the AI. So the AI involving the people like around the so you've noticed something. Okay, so
Yeah,
the
yeah.
people around Cyberpunk supposed to have like some of them have rich backstory, like their behaviors is supposed to mimic a real person, right? So the question that I have to ask you is, among all, comparing Cyberpunk with all the other open world games, um, like for example the famous GTA series, right? So the
Yeah.
GTA series has a lot of pedestrians and stuff like that. So and pedestrians also in cars. So Cyberpunk also has that. So in your opinion, is is the AI in Cyberpunk good?
Nah, I don't think so. I think the AI in
Mhm.
Cyberpunk NPC is non-existent. It's not there at
Mhm.
all. I think
Mhm.
I think they're just coded to walk around. The drivers were just very linear. It's one-dimensional. They don't act like very differently. I mean,
Mhm.
it's not fair to compare Cyberpunk to the behemoth that GTA is.
Okay.
It's
Mhm.
it's it's in its own league, right?
Mhm.
GTA
Mhm.
is the best. I think it's the best in its league, but
Mhm.
you do kind of expect Cyberpunk's NPC to have like a rudimentary, like a very basic AI, but it's not there.
Mhm.
And I think when you notice this stuff, it takes away your immersion from the game.
So does it like really take away the immersion? Like for example, do you encounter bugs or you see various encounters like, oh, what the hell? What the hell is this? Like, do you have moments like that?
I've seen a couple because I played the game in its release, right? Because
Mhm.
when the game released, they shipped out a couple of patches, right?
Mhm.
And before those patches, the bugs were everywhere, and some pivotal moments from the game, like important scenes,
Mhm.
will uh, will show some NPC bugging out in the background, and that just takes you away from the game.
Is it
It
like
takes away the immersion.
funny or more like kind of disappointing scene to look at too?
Some are funny. Like
Mhm.
there was a scene where I'm talking to a side character in my apartment, and an NPC just walked in and T-posed in front of us. Like what the
Oh
fuck?
yeah, yeah. Okay.
What the hell?
So
And
and
some
also some people also encountered police spawning behind them and just randomly shooting. Did you encounter some of that?
Yeah, I think that's an issue for the police system
Mm.
in the
Mhm.
cyberpunk. It actually doesn't exist as well. It's one
Mhm.
of the disappointments in the game. It's actually when you have if you have committed a crime and
Mhm.
police are chasing you, they don't show up in cars like in GTA or something like that. They just spawn in a radius
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
near you. So
Mhm.
if you're above a building, they'll just spawn behind
Just
you like that.
randomly spawn within your
Yeah,
vicinity, like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's one of the game's major disappointments as well.
Okay, so this next issue is one of the, I think, the most talked about within the state of the game. So we have discussed earlier that Cyberpunk 2077 had delays, had setbacks in order for them to fully develop the game the way they wanted to. They want to improve some bugs or maybe even the whole state of the game. So within those delays, um, I know for a fact that people are disappointed because the game is delayed, and why is the game still the way that it is right now, even before the patches, right? So um, the question is, for you, will the game Cyberpunk benefit from delaying it further? I mean, like releasing it on the year of 2021, not 2020. So do you think it will benefit from delaying the game further? Will CD Projekt Red um, hopefully benefit from delaying the game, even though they have so many delays? Um, do you think that it's much better to release the game when it's actually finished and not rushing it?
Well, from my opinion, I think if everybody is to be pleased, I think
Mm-hmm.
this game should have been delayed for another 2 years actually.
Two
It's
years,
so
okay.
unfinished.
Not
Yeah,
not
it's so
not even
unfinished.
1 year. It's 2 years
Yeah,
for you, okay.
it's so unfinished. But people were going mental, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're sending death threats to CDPR employees, and
Mm-hmm.
their 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 opinions are starting to turn, and the higher ups of CDPR are seeing these things, and they want that COVID Christmas money. So that's why
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they released it in 2020, and that's the sad part because the developers of this game is really they really loved creating this game. You can see it in the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
An example is that you can actually see some pedestrians playing the guitar, and this shit amazed me, man. The, the animation for the chords and the strumming,
The
it's so
details, the
accurate. Yeah, it's
details.
so accurate,
Mm-hmm.
man. It's so fleshed out, and
Mm-hmm.
when you see things like that, you can see that they really cared for the game, the developers.
Mm-hmm.
And to see it released unfinished, it's a bittersweet story.
Mm-hmm.
And but for me, actually, despite of its shortcomings, this game is still good. It's you can still play it and have a
Mm-hmm.
good time, even though this
With the
these
bugs
bugs,
and
yeah, these
yes, okay.
bugs and the cut content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Is the
even
main
though,
storyline good for you? Is it
oh
sufficient?
man, I
Mm-hmm.
can talk about this shit for hours, man. It's actually the ending actually made me cry.
Mm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
the story is really good. The writers, I can commend them.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the bugs, despite all the NPC AIs, the story was top notch, man. It's not cheesy. It's not out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's really relatable, and especially if you like this kind of stuff, this cyberpunk future stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Blade Runner or
Yeah.
Alita.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, things like that. It's really good. It's really good. The story, I mean.
So it's
And
it's
I won't.
uh it's comparable to the quality of Hollywood movies regarding the cyberpunk theme. Do you agree?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be
Mm-hmm.
uh compared to movies, but it's a really immersive one, and this is one of my long time opinion. I think games can immerse you more than movies because it's you
Mm-hmm.
that's doing the decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's your actions that uh, made you to the point where the game is,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's why I enjoy games a lot more than movies.
Okay, so if you are, for example, like the president or the CEO of CD Projekt Red, with knowing the state of the game is definitely not finished the whole way, would you still release it or delay it? If it were your choice. I mean, besides all the death threats that the employees are getting, and besides all the fan complaints and whatnot, would you still release it and have like the patches roll out after, or would you delay the game?
I think I would have delayed it, right? Like they delayed it a lot of times already,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what's the harm in another year
Mm-hmm.
or 6 months even?
Mm-hmm.
If I was the president of the CDPR, I would have delayed it. I think at least a year, and
Mm-hmm.
only on PC and latest generation of consoles.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, I think I would have just released it on PC and not even on consoles because even though I've enjoyed this game a lot on PC, I can see that it's not ready yet for the consoles.
Mm-hmm.
It's not done.
Mm-hmm.
And what about those people who enjoy playing games like straight out of the CD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, without the patches. Like it's so disappointing that you'd have to buy the game, then download the patch after patch after patch
Yeah, and
on consoles, right?
it's also a bit difficult for those gamers who don't have a stable internet connection, right? Like
Yeah,
they just buy the physical copies so that they can play the games, right? Right, because they don't have the internet connection to download it digitally. So they just rely on physical copies. So I think those gamers that don't doesn't have the stable internet connection are feeling pretty shit, right? Because
yeah,
they can't download the patches, right? So if you
yeah,
were to enjoy or play the game in its better state, then it's it's shit. It's incomplete,
yeah.
right? So that's one of the problems that the game has. Yeah.
I mean, despite all of this controversy, I think
Mhm.
you'd still have to commend CDPR, right? Because
Mhm.
they they did the initiative to make any copy refundable,
Mhm.
right? They if it was EA, right? It was
No.
like, okay, no shit,
No.
right? Keep it,
Yeah,
right, right,
they
like
just don't care.
that.
They won't care. Like we had your money, it's ours
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So you'd still give props to CDPR for
Mhm.
trying to at least like give those people refunds, right? And
Mhm.
some people do, and you can see that there's still the care there, right? They still care about the game, even though
Mhm.
they essentially destroyed their reputation. They're trying to take it back at least.
Mhm. So, you have played the game with the recent patches, right?
Yep.
You're continually downloading patches as they get released. Um, for in your opinion, how much time does the game need in order for it to be fully realized, or like for it to be in the best state or in a complete state? How much more time do you think the game needs? How many months? How many years?
As I've said, I think at least two
Ah, 2
years.
years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, they released a roadmap for when they are gonna release stuff
Mm-hmm.
for Cyberpunk, and they said by the end of, let me check this, by the end of 2021,
Mm-hmm.
all the patches will be rolled out, including the DLCs. And I don't think that's
I've
enough
heard that
for.
the DLCs are free, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
Mm-hmm.
CDPR. They did it with Witcher, and we should
Ah, so
expect
all the
with this.
DLCs are the DLCs in The Witcher 3 were free, so they are also implementing it with the Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
it's like
okay,
their
okay.
selling point, right? Like they're a great company. They
Mm-hmm.
give out DLCs for free,
Mm-hmm.
and I think with the release of these DLCs, they're gonna fix the game's shortcomings as well, because that's what they did with The Witcher 3. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, The Witcher 3 actually didn't have like a way to change Geralt's hair,
Mm-hmm.
and people were very disappointed about that. The way CDPR did with this issue, as they addressed it through DLC. So when
Mm-hmm.
the Blood and Wine, actually, I don't know which DLC it was,
Mm-hmm.
but one of the DLCs they actually uh, implemented a barbershop through the
Mm.
DLC itself, right?
That's
So
nice.
instead
Mm-hmm.
of instead of patching it like a normal patch, they included it in the
The
DLC. I think
DLC.
that's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's how they're gonna fix Cyberpunk's shortcomings, right? Through DLCs
Mhm.
as well. Yeah,
So
so at least 1 year.
so we can consider that the DLCs are like patches in disguise, right? For
Yeah,
in
yeah,
a
yeah.
way with additional content.
Basically.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
okay, so the final verdict. Do you think that Cyberpunk is a good game? Is it not good? Is it good? And what's your final score out of 10 um for the game now that you have played the main storyline and is continuing to finish all of the side stories and side quests. Is the game good?
Okay. So I have an analogy for you, mate.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine imagine
Okay.
you go to a restaurant, right? And you open the menu and you see this dish, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's an amazing dish. You look at it and wow, I gotta order this shit. And you
Mm-hmm.
eat it and you have a great time. You eat it and you go home, right? Like you tweet about it and you're satisfied. But you see the restaurant's website and you see that
Mm-hmm.
wait, this is what I ordered, right? Why is there a lot of shit missing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, so that's how I can explain my experience with Cyberpunk. I still had a great time playing the game. It's an
Mm-hmm.
absolute blast. It's amazing. Like, I think it's one of the greatest games I've played of all time. But seeing has as after I've finished the game, I've searched through all the Cyberpunk's
Mm-hmm.
trailers and stuff that they said that would be in the game, and I can see that the game could have been so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And despite that, that doesn't mean that the game is bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it could have been a lot more. And for me, it's a good thing that CDPR is taking shit right now, so they can take this thing seriously and still make the game better.
Mm-hmm.
And after playing the game, actually, as I've said, I really like the game. If you ignore the stuff that is not there and just take the game for what it is right now, it's still a good game, right? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if I would rate it out of 10, I
What
think
would you rate the game out of 10? In its current state with all the patches released.
it's around 7.5 out of 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still a high
Mm-hmm.
number,
Yes, it is.
right?
Yes.
Uh, uh, if I didn't see all the things that CDPR promised that is not there, I think I would have given it like around 8.5. That's how good the
Mm-hmm.
game is. But
Mm-hmm.
now that I know that the things that missing, the things that are that needs ironing, right? The things that could have been of the game, I'll give it a solid 7.5. It's still a
S-
good game. It's still a good game, but it could be so much more.
Did it live up to its expectations?
Certainly not, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
in some aspects, it did, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
there were moments when I was playing this game that I was just astonished. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
game is fucking good. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
would
Yeah.
I would forget that I was playing a game. That's how good the storyline, the main storyline is. But when you scour away from the storyline, when you look under the rug, there's a lot of shit. There's
Like
a lot of
bugs and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And that,
Unfinished shit. Yeah.
if you pay attention to those things, it just takes you away from the story. It just
Mm-hmm.
takes you.
Mm-hmm.
It leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and
Mm-hmm.
that shit is important in open world games, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you should be able to you should be able to stray away from the main story as much as you want, and just do whatever you want, like Skyrim, right? Like
Yeah.
GTA. You
Mm-hmm.
can still do side missions, but in order to do those side missions, you'd have to go around Night City, and going around Night City is experiencing all of its shortcomings. But
Mm-hmm.
again, as I've said multiple times, even though the NPC is shit, the police system is shit, it's a visually breathtaking game, and the
Mm-hmm.
storyline just is just the cherry on top. Like it's amazing. It's an amazing game.
Would you
I
recommend it to other gamers?
I think if you expect a lot of from the game, you should not play the game. But if you
Mm-hmm.
just heard it like right now and you
Mm-hmm.
don't know anything about it, you should play the game. You can play the game. It's a I wouldn't say fully fledged, but there's a game there.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there that you can, even though it's incomplete, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can still have a good time with it. I wouldn't have 90 hours on this game if it's shit, right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
waste my time on this. I'm not based with CDPR just
Mm-hmm.
because of their background, right? I didn't
Mm-hmm.
play Witcher 3, and yet I still had a great time. I still
Mm-hmm.
have a beautiful time. So, again, I would not recommend this game if you were expecting a lot, like you've been following all of the
The hype.
CDP. Yeah, the hype. If you're
Mm-hmm.
hype, just let it sit for a few months, even a year. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're blind, if you have a I didn't mean that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, if you
Yeah,
don't have
I get
any
what you mean. I
idea,
get what you mean. Yeah.
if you don't have any idea about the game, you
If
can
you're
play it.
living under a rock and you
Yeah,
haven't heard of
yeah,
Cyberpunk 2077,
yeah.
you should
You can
play
play
the
the
game.
game.
Okay. So me personally, I didn't play the game on its release, and but after the issues and stuff, and like the bugs and all the issues surrounding it, I think I might play the game in the future if it's fully realized and fully developed, and maybe we don't know, it can have like a remastered version in the future. So yeah, maybe I'll play the game then,
Yeah,
but
you should.
for
You should.
now, yeah, I'm just with your words, with the game, yeah, I might consider playing the game in the future.
Yeah, you should. I think Cyberpunk is a must-play game. It's one of those games that you should just experience as a gamer,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of your background. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a smart decision for you to wait a little bit. You
Yeah.
don't have to go through the shit that I'm thinking. Yeah,
Yes, yes. There we
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
Don't have to go through pedestrians,
Yeah,
in
T-posing.
cars blowing up out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that was quick takes. Thank you. Thank you, Isaac, for this for joining me in this podcast, and for the future videos, we will talk about various games and stuff like that. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and follow our next upload. So again, Isaac, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, my
Yeah.
pleasure. Till next time, mate.
Yeah, so that was the episode 1, and stay tuned, guys, for the next episodes that will be released. I don't know when, but it will be released. So yeah, thank you, thank you guys for watching and listening, and I'll see you on the next one.